Okay, we're on chapter 12 of Acts, and this is one of my, well, I got a lot of favorite parts of Acts, but this is about when Peter got out of the prison again. So, now about the time that Herod the king was busy aggravating and arresting and harming the church, and he had James, the brother of John, put to death with a sword. So, James was martyred. And he thought that it pleased the Jews who weren't believers in Christ. And so he proceeded to further arrest Peter. Because, hey, man, I killed James and I got the crowds liking this. I'm popular politically. Less trouble from them. So I'm going to arrest Peter. And this was done during the days of Passover, unleavened bread. So this must be about a year later because remember, the last Passover was the crucifixion. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, and I would hope so, this is a year later. So he got Peter, put him in prison, and he had 4 squads of soldiers guarding him in rotation throughout the night, planning that after Passover to bring him out before the people to execute him. So Peter was kept in the prison, but he was persistent in his prayer. Because he knew that the Lord would take care of him. So while he's in there persistently praying, and the church was also praying without ceasing for him to God, because Herod would have brought him the same night, but he was waiting, and that very night, before Herod was to bring him to be arraigned, I guess you would call it, Peter was actually sleeping between 2 soldiers, and he was bound up with chains. So they were like, this dude's not getting out. Sleeping, put him in between these 2 soldiers, chain him up. Then that's when the angel showed up. And that was really cool, because all of a sudden there's this big light in the cell. And guess what? Nobody noticed but Peter. And it says he smote Peter on the side. So that means he slapped him like, hey, wake up, get up quickly. And he got up, chains fell. And the angel said, get yourself together, put on your clothes, put on your shoes. So he did. And follow me. So he went out and followed the angel. And he thought he was dreaming. He was like, what? He thought he wasn't even sure the angel was real. So when they passed the first guard and the second, they came to the iron gate that leads into the city. And it just swung open by itself. And they went out along the street. And then Peter came to his senses and was like, wait. Now, I know for certain that the Lord has sent his angel and has rescued me from the hand of Herod and from all the Jewish people who are expecting to do me in. So he realized what had happened. He went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose surname was John Mark, where many people were gathered together praying. So he showed up at the house that everybody was in there praying for him. And he shows up to show them, hey, your prayers are answered. But when he knocked on the gate, a woman came named Rhoda to open, and she knew Peter's voice, but she didn't want to open she didn't open the gate at first because she was so excited. But she ran back in and told how Peter stood before the gate. So Peter's like, I'm still out here. So they said to her, you're nuts. But she constantly kept saying, hey, it's true, he's out there. Peter's out there like, hey, he opening the door. She ran back in there to tell him I'm out here. Here I am, out the prison. Ain't opening the door. They said, you're nuts. But she kept going on and on. So they said, it must be his angel. I guess they killed him. That must be his spirit or ghost. But Peter kept beating on the doors like, hey. And when they had opened the door and saw him, they were like, oh. It says astonished. That means they're like, whoa, what? So he, beckoning unto them with the hand to hold their peace. So basically he was like, hey, shh. So he told them how the Lord brought him out of the prison. And he said, go show these things to James and to the brothers. And he left and went to another place. Now, as soon as it was day, there was quite a tizzy with the soldiers because they were like, our prisoner is gone. He was sleeping right there. There's his chains. His stuff's gone. Where is he? We are in trouble. So when Herod had went to look for him, because he was supposed to have that little arraignment or trial this morning, and found him not there, he decided that he was going to put all those guards that were supposed to be keeping watch over him specifically to death. And he went down from Judea to Caesarea and stayed there. And Herod was very displeased with the people of Tyre and Sidon, but they came with one accord to him, and having made Blastus, the king's chamberlain, their friend, they desired peace because their country was nourished by the king's country. And I just threw that in there. And upon a set day, Herod, arrayed up in his royal fancy clothes, sat on his throne and made an oration to them. I'm going to speak. He's full of himself. This dude is the definition of narcissist. And the people gave a shout saying, it is the voice of a god, not of a man. There you are. Definition of a narcissist. They're calling him a god. They're just filling his ego up, because if they don't, we all know how narcissists feel when you don't feed their ego. So, immediately the angel of the Lord smote him. I like that word smote. It's old English, but that means pow! Smote. Because he didn't give God glory. He wanted people to call him God. So he was eaten with worms and gave up the ghost. So, nasty parasitic disease overtook him, full of worms, from the inside out, because he was horrible on the inside. So worms ate his rotten self, because he was rotten from the inside out. So the word of the Lord grew and multiplied, and Barnabas and Saul returned from Jerusalem when they had fulfilled their ministry, and took with them John Mark. And that concludes chapter 12. Yes, I do tape these sometimes more in one day, because I just get so excited about the word.